Hey guys, welcome back to the project. Jeff here on my Forever Home series. That's right, we're working today live in the basement. We're going to be doing a lot of concrete work. We got to open up our floor. So let's just go real quick. We're going to talk about our plan for the basement, the new design, the structural changes, the plumbing changes, and we're going to get dirty and dig out all of our concrete and ultimately explore underneath our foundation walls, these structural load walls. We want to know what's going on. I've got the engineer coming in next week, and he's going to be inspecting the open crater and their building technology for all of their structure stuff. And then we can talk about point loads if we've got to dig holes or put in a rebar and build some footings. And then Thursday we got the inspector coming by. Okay, so it's going to be a long, dirty structural week next week, and that's fine. But today, let me just show you the new layout. The old bathroom, this was the door here, and kind of walked in towards the window. And the tub and the shower was on this side, toilet and a big vanity, right? Okay. This is actually a really big bathroom. It's 8.5 feet, and it was almost 10 feet wide. So what we're doing is we're stealing a few feet from the old bathroom, getting rid of this, moving this wall in. That allows that other bedroom there to have a closet, because once we put our new technology on our walls go really thick compared to what was there before. So we needed the extra space. And then over here, we're going to push this bathroom wall back over here to about this 2x4. And this will end up giving us about 8.5 by 6.5 foot bathroom. Plenty big enough for a second guest bath. And the only thing that we really want to maintain is right here. This is our main sewer, and this is our cleanout. Now, Wednesday next week, Mark is coming from Horizon Plumbing, and we're going to actually make the video about how to run all the plumbing together. We'll talk all the building code, all the science, the size of the pipe, and all that kind of jazz. So that video will be coming on the channel a little later, but we're going to make that video so you've got that in your inventory and part of our video library for you, okay? Today, it's really simple. We're going to get these 2x4s out of our way. We're going to finish busting up our concrete. And I just wanted to show you the tool that we use to get these cuts. Matt, can you just grab that for me? We actually went over to Robertson Rent-All and picked up an electric saw. Yeah, here we go. And it's a rental. It's about $100 a day to rent one of these bad boys. Okay, here we are. Now, the blades come separately. You got to buy your own. They were selling them for $55, so that worked out really well. And it comes with a garden hose connector, all right? And it's an on-off switch for that. And it also runs on 15 amp power, and it has a GFI on it, okay? Now this kept on tripping and wreaked havoc on our fuses yesterday. And so we actually had to go buy a bunch more fuses. We found out that the ones that have the breaker reset on the fuse actually were so sensitive, we just blew through the whole box. So we had to get a different kind of fuse. And once we did that, it ran just great. It hardly any dust, okay? So if you put a fan in a window in your basement, you can use this and it's not overly unbearable. Just a basic paper mask and you're gonna be good. And like I said, the only other option is gas powered, but the fumes on that in a basement are just deadly. So go with the electric. It's a little slower. You gotta be more patient. Don't want to overwork the saw and trip your breakers, but it gets the job done. There we go. So before we go get in any of the chat today, I just wanted to pop up the first piece of concrete. We actually did a trough here because that's the bathroom, but we're dealing with all the plumbing in the basement. We want to run a line over here. We want to put a drain for our condenser, for our air conditioner. We want to bring a line up here so we can bring water into what we're going to call like a wet bar for that room. It's going to be some cabinetry. So it was important that we can get this concrete out. Oh, come on, honey. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's what it looks like. So this is your slab that they poured in this house. Looks like about 2.5 inches thick. Connected on some clean rock. That'll be great. Now, basically, the system for removing this is going to be not too bad. We're going to need sledgehammers, and I'm just going to demonstrate what it looks like when you hit the stuff with a sledgehammer while the gravel is still in play, okay? It doesn't break that easy because the gravel is underneath to cause resistance. All right, so what we want to do, here we are. This looks a little stupid, but the truth is this is the best system I've ever found. If you can remove gravel from underneath the concrete, which Matthew here is not going to be our friend. Oh, no. Remember we talked about 1974 being before building code? Well, currently in our code, they are throwing about 3 or 4 inches of stone, maybe 6 inch, on the dirt before they pour their concrete. And so then when you can get underneath the hole, you can just pull the stone away and then just smash the block a lot easier. But it looks like we're going to be fighting with this stone the entire way because we're right in the dirt right away. That is not ideal. Okay. Wow. We're going to need both sledgehammers today. We're going to be working like animals. All right. Got to find some weak spots and then kind of yeah. This is going to be some slow going work today. Oh, I think just overly smashing it is going to be the answer. All right. Well, Matt, might have to use a crowbar a lot today. I think that's going to be the answer. So when you're working in this scenario, you want a system. We're obviously not going to be taking much gravel out, but it also means that once we dig these holes, we're going to have to dig out some mud, which is clay. We're going to have to dig out some clay to make room for the plumber. Okay, so we're going to want to have a pile of rock and then another pile for the concrete as far away from the site as possible so that we can carry that to the bin. And then ultimately, once we get all the concrete out of here, then we'll dig all our trenches all over again and get the mud out and make a mud pile as well. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, sweet. That's going to be a lot of work. Okay. Whew. I'm just going to go jump into the chat. Okay. You go ahead and start smashing. Nice. All right. Okay. I'm going to see if anybody's got any questions so far about our program and our design and our process. Here we go. Oh, all right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, make some dust. Yeah, the goal here, guys, is to try to not use the machinery. We couldn't even turn the saw on because we have to make sure that all of our cameras and all our computers and all that stuff doesn't get covered in concrete dust, which is why we're going manual with our excavation today. It also makes sense as a DIYer for you guys to see how you can do it yourself with basic tools. So one quick rental, and then you just beat the living tar out of your floor. All right. Jorge is a member. He's got a question. He's got a 2-year-old unfinished garage, 21 by 21 in Chicago. I want to finish my garage so I can run heat and cooling. You want to condition the space. I don't want to create a ceiling. Okay, what would you recommend on insulating the roof? You don't want to build a ceiling in your garage, but you want to insulate. I'm going to recommend you go with a Roxol insulation. Okay, and that way you can get that in. It'll really minimize the ability for the condensation to happen in your ceiling. Problem is with you condition a space, Jorge, is you end up having a hot meeting cold scenario in the wintertime. All right, and so by going with Roxol, you'll get the thermal break that you want. And if you do get a bit of condensation, the Roxol isn't going to hold the water and reduce your thermal, and it'll let it all escape and dry out again. So that's what I would do. And I would probably try to do it along the flat and then just throw strapping on there. Just saying, don't want the insulation falling out. And, feel free to throw up some plastic over top of that as well, just because every time you're on there working, you're going to get little bits of that insulation falling down and getting into the air. Nice to separate the two. Is the piping below grade cast iron? We don't know yet. I really doubt it because this is a house built in 74. They upgraded in 85 to weeping tile with a system that goes around the house and out to the street. It's most likely going to be like the black pipe sticking out of the ground. It's going to be 4-inch ABS under the ground and 3-inch on top. That's what we're expecting to find. Hopefully we don't have any surprises. And cheers, Sandy's in the house again. This is awesome. If you guys have any questions about things you'd like to see or any close-ups of the work as we're going along, let me know. That is really awesome. By the way, when Matt's swinging that, there's a sound delay. So I'm watching him swing, and then it's like he's halfway around the world, and then a sound hits me in the back of the head. It's just hilarious. All right. Hey, Existential Paint is in the house again. And haven't missed a live show yet, my man. That's awesome. Hefe, how are those old basement windows framed? Do they have a header? I have similar windows. Could I put a lintel for larger window? Yeah, let me show you. Here we go, Joe. We're going to show these folks how they made these windows here. I'm going to use a broom as a pointer stick. All right. Now, you'll see right here, the brick to the rim joist is that thick. But here in front of the window, it's only this thick, okay? So what it is I have a rim joist, and what they've done is they've doubled up here to about right there. That's doubled up. So all they've done is do 2x10, double it up to carry the load across. So there's no lintel because there's no brick above it, and that's all they've got. And that works. And you'll also notice it's the only part of the house where there's a crack in the brick is right here where that header is carrying all that weight to that point and this point. Oddly enough. Anyway, that's how this house is built. We're going to leave it well enough alone. That's way above ground level. And so as long as we have some waterproofing on the outside, we should be just fine. How's that working out for you over there, Matty?
That's going just fine.
Yeah, it's a fight.
The struggle is trying not to kick up the rocks and hit the cameras.
Right? Because, yeah.
It's more of a slow and tedious process than trying to get the job done. So
I'm just going to give you that. All right. Wow. Anyway, let me get these 2x4s out of here. I'll grab a sledgehammer and I'll start hitting up the other side over here. Ah, wow. Here we are. So we're thinking, I'd like to get your opinion, guys. We have a 6.5-foot section here in the back wall. We're going to put a shower. Or should we do a tub shower combo? Any particular products you'd like to see us install? I'm really not too worried about what the product is. So if there's something that you haven't seen us make a video on yet, jump in the chat and let us know. Be interested to hear your opinions out there. There you go. We're just going to have to keep sweeping as we go. We don't want to have, some rocks firing off and hitting the camera lens or hitting Joe in the side of the head. Well, I'll be wearing those Hello Kitty Band-Aids by the end of the day if we're not careful. All right. Pardon? Yeah, no. I just grabbed my gloves, dude. This is going to be some serious work today. All right. You like the black one? I'm going to use the orange one. I think the black one's heavier, isn't it?
yeah, it's easier too.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start up over here where they poured this new concrete, and hopefully they poured it a lot thinner. Generally speaking, when people do rework, and this is a patch, they like to fill up the patch. Like, look at this. This is just tile. Like, this is all covered in subfloor, but there's tile from the tile floor in the hole. I don't even understand that, but it sure isn't thick, and it breaks up a lot easier, right? Because A, it's a lot thinner. This is only poured at about 1 inch thick, and then the rock. And so it looks like I have the easy job here today, Matt. At least some of this is going to be somewhat easy, eh? You still got to pull it all out one little bit at a time. Oh, anyway. Holy cow. Yeah. On our hands and knees. Loving it. And there's my pipe. Going from here to there. You know what? I have an option here, Matt.
Yeah.
I can just cut the pipe and cut the pipe It's disengaged. It's buried in the floor. We're not putting plumbing over there again. I don't have to break it all out. How do you feel about that?
That would be great.
I think that saves us a lot of time. I just want to see where this is coming from, because there's also this toilet line. Most likely it's making its way back over here. Where is it going? Have a look down the hole here and see which way this is turning when it goes down there. Straight back. Go. So it's really deep. It's going underneath this other line here. Now I get to use all this rock and tile as clean fill again later. Remember, the process here is basically you get your pipe in and you get your clean stone in, and then we throw in a couple buckets of water and help settle it down, okay? And then we can pour the concrete on top so that the stone is providing structure to carry that weight. And yes, sir. Yep, sure. We'll do that in a second. Oh, come on. There we are. That's big enough. I'm not going to save it. I'm just trying to figure out, Matt, how far down they're going with this 3-inch pipe. Holy cow. We're digging and digging and digging. There it is. Okay. Looks like the bottom of our pipe is going to be at about 8 or 9 inches. We're going to have some digging to do today. Oh my goodness. All right. Let me get that saw again. If everybody wants to see it. What am I getting caught on here? Messing around with the lighting. Here we go. Okay, so here's the rental saw. This is a quick cut Husqvarna brand. Okay, this is a steel blade, as in STIHL. And here's your water connection, garden hose, on and off switch. Okay, and here is your power. Plugs into any 15 amp. I would recommend 20 because it does tend to trip the switch a lot. This is like a GFI. So you always got to hit that red button every time that kills your power. Other than that, it's a safety switch, just battery on. And it does a really good job. The water comes out, kind of trickles on the blade and keeps the blade wet. And so this little piece here, when you're cutting, you keep it on the ground and it collects all of the mud right there at the bottom. And it does get muddy. Like it's just sludge, right? Anyway, that's the tool. And that's about $100 a day.
Somebody else was wondering, why did you guys put the concrete in that particular direction from plumbing?
On that angle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's just go over the whole design plan again. This is going to be a wall, okay, separating the bathroom from the laundry, okay? So we're going to need a drain for the laundry. I also want to build a dog washing station, so I need a drain for that. And then way over there, I need to add a drain for the condenser for my air conditioning system. Right now it's going into a pail and it has to be manually emptied, and that's frustration. So as long as we're going to run a line over there for the condenser, I might as well bring it up, come through the wall, and provide a drain for a wet bar in that other living area. So here's what we do. We're going to use 3-inch line for the toilet. All right. We're going to use a 2-inch line running to the shower and to the vanity, because this operates as a wet vent. So if it comes out of the ground as a 2-inch, then I can tee off to pick up my sink and then have 1.5 go up into the air. And I probably will do that over here. And I have all my venting running beside my stack, my furnace. All right. So the vent for that sink can come over, pick up this vent. That 3-inch here is going to go up into the ceiling cavity, come all the way across here, and then run over the other side of the building because that's where my bathroom is going to be, on the other side upstairs. So we've got a lot of things to consider here, which is one of the reasons why we're opening up the hole so much. It's so much easier just to have space to work. Like, just because I'm going to run my plumbing basically on this line doesn't mean I want to stop my concrete here, right? It's nice to be able to get at both sides of it, because when you're all done, it's nice to have a few inches on each side. You can pour your stone in, you can pack it all down. We can get a sledgehammer in there and push the stone around the pipe, make sure everything is supported. There's nothing worse than getting a big crack in your floor, months or years down the road.
I think I got a rock here.
That is definitely a boulder.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not really cool.
No.
All right, so we want to be able to run a 2-inch pipe here.
Is there like code?
It doesn't need to be a wet vent.
For how deep
No.
it has to be?
For a condenser, no. It just has to be buried. And it has to have enough slope. So from this point to that point, I need it to be a 1-degree slope. Let's find out the distance. Go right to the wood on that. I'm 9 feet, so a 1/4 inch. Half, 3/4. Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to have a 1/2 inch of concrete on top of that. So as long as we pack it, I might even use sand and I get to the other end, just to make sure everything is supported.
I mean, I could smash away at that rock with the sledgehammer.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave that alone. And if on Wednesday the plumber comes and says, hey, let's do something about that, then we'll do that then. We'll have the quick cut. We can just cut that stone down.
Okay.
But today we can't do that because we got to be mindful of our equipment. All right. Hoy. Okay, so Sawzall, it's around here somewhere. All right. Let's get rid of the old tub. Okay, this is going to be stinky. Leave that there for now. We'll disengage over here. This is the same pipe. Here we go. In there. Oh, look at this, Matt. Wow, they really went to town here. They used a 3-inch Y from the toilet to pick that up and then put in a bushing. Okay. All right, it is what it is. Let's just keep going here. Yep. And this is not uncommon, guys. If you're out there doing your job, most of the time on a job site, you're going to find that somebody who does rework, if you even get an inch of concrete, it's a miracle, right? They're much quicker to come back, fill it with stone, and just pour a thin layer. At the end of the day, 3/4 of an inch of concrete on rock that's been compressed is more than enough strength to carry foot traffic. Well, here's another second piece. How are you doing over there, buddy? All right. Like, this just smashes up like nothing. So if you're looking for a starting place on your bathroom reno and you've got a fresh patch, start in the patch. Because I don't know too many people who take the time to really pack their concrete down. Truth is, I discovered a long time ago that when you pour all your stone in, I'm like, this is sand. This is actually it's a decent material. Okay, nice. When you pour all your stone in a hole, if you take a pail of water and then pour it in right away, you're going to compress all that stone about 10%. And if you just put your concrete on and you haven't compressed it, it'll still end up compressing over time. Everything in this world vibrates. If it's got cells and atoms, it vibrates. So it'll compact itself over time, leaving a void underneath your concrete. So it's best to be in charge of that and be intentional so that you don't end up with a soft spot in your floor. Now, for whatever reason, these guys came back with sand, Matt, underneath all this work instead of stone. Okay.
Is stone's the industry standard, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. Well, I'm going to just keep on going towards all this. Okay. Almost done the drain. Okay. I'm really kind of curious to see. Like, it's hollow underneath here right now. There's nothing supporting this concrete. Part of it's because as I put pressure with the hammer here, the sand just kind of pushes to the side and makes room for the impact. Oh, and it's actually hollow in here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That is crazy. Check this out, Joe. You don't see this every day. Like a gopher was living under there or something. That is really hollow. So then this 4-inch is teeing off into this. That goes to the city. The rest of this is just hollow space. I don't even know if this floor drain is still connected. Oh, and insulation. Yeah, we'll just put all of our garbage in that hole, eh? Insulation, tile, whatever. We have a garbage can around here, right?
Yes.
You don't mind if I keep this a little closer? Oh, you are working way too hard. Looks like I got the good spot. All right. Okay. There we go. You know what, Matt? I think what we're going to do here is I'm just going to pull this concrete out. I'm going to go answer some questions for some folks. I'll let you do a run or two of concrete out to the bin. What do you think of that?
Sure.
That way you're not bent over swinging the hammer consistently for the next 2 hours. Be nice to break up the work a little bit. All right. Here we go. Well, here we are, guys. There's our plumbing. Is this even connected? Oh, I just can't tell. This floor drain, and we thought we had 2. I can't even tell where it's connected. It's just a whole lot of sand and rock. Nothing makes any sense. Wow, we're going to have to dig a lot further down to find out where that comes from. Oy, oy, oy. Okay, let's go tackle a few questions here. Here, have a peek. I can't even find it where that pipe goes. My toilet comes across, right?
Is it more likely to go under the wall or throughout the room somewhere?
Well, it's more than likely goes out that wall that way.
Yeah.
Our plumber came by for a consultation, and he said he probably expects this pipe because it was brought in after the fact, and the repair work was really limited to this. He thinks they went under the footing that way and then around the property to go to the street, which is over there. But they might have had to dig down a couple of feet to do that.
Fun.
Well, there's always Monday to finish digging a hole. All right. Oh, let's do that.
So we've got a couple people working on the same types of projects as you. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Nice. So we got some of you folks who are kind of in the middle of working on your basement bathrooms, eh? There's a question that Daniel at the very end of the no rebar. Okay, Daniel. Well, here's the deal. When you're building slab on grade, like in the south of the states, and we have a little bit of slab on grade here. A lot of commercial does that. We use rebar for sure because the concrete is now considered structural. When you're in this environment, the concrete down here, there's two kinds. There's a structural concrete, and we're hoping to find that underneath that big wall behind me, like a curb or something. That'll be the structural concrete. This is cosmetic. This is just to provide the live load of people living and walking in the space. That's it. So we don't need rebar for that. What you need is compacted earth or dirt or I've seen houses built right on granite, and then you pour the concrete on top of some stone or sand, and that generally takes the pounds per square foot that you're dealing with, maybe a couple hundred on a really heavy day in a bad spot, but you don't need rebar to support that. So that's all right. Oh, whoo. Okay. Nick says, do you think you'll use Dietrich heat on the bathroom floor? Used Schluter stuff before, and it's a nice luxury feature for a forever home. Yeah, basically my plan is anywhere that I'm going to be using tile, I'm going to have a heating system. Canada is really beautiful for 10 or 12 weeks a year when it comes to the heat. The spring and the fall get a little nipply, and it is nice to have a warm surface to walk on, for sure. And in the dead of winter, well, we all know I'll be in Florida in the dead of the winter. I mean, but yeah, we're definitely using that. Beef 410, cheers. You got a member? Thanks. Cheers for your support. 87 slab on grade in Georgia. New bathroom exhaust fan. The exhaust pipe is being run to the nearest gable, okay, with 6-inch R6 flex pipe at a 25-foot run. Is it okay for the flex pipe to bend over top of HVAC ducting? Yeah, it's an exhaust pipe. Here's what you want to be careful of, though. Anywhere that your exhaust is running and you have to go up over something, you don't ever want to come back down again, okay? So you're okay to go up and up and up, but don't ever go up and back down. That's where you'll get condensation, and then your line will fill up with water, and then you won't get able to push any air through it. And so just be careful for that, and you'll be just fine. All right. Yeah, great question. Oh, so Derek here's working on a bathroom as well. That's pretty cool. New walls. Oh, the deal. You know, the secret here is it's a lot easier to build the walls after the rough-in plumbing, if you have a plan, than to build the walls and then try to do the rough-in plumbing. Because all the finagling, right? Because then you're sitting on the concrete and, oh, the pipe is still sticking out a bit. Oh, we got to chisel some concrete. You're messing around. I prefer to just cut it nice, oversized, get the plumbing done, and then pour the concrete back and then build my walls. It's so much easier, right? Yeah, there you go. Ryan wants to know, would you need to use a special product when pouring the concrete for the concrete to adhere to the surrounding concrete? No, actually, it's not that tricky. You just take a wire brush and a bucket of water, and you just want to scrub it and wash it all. Get all the loose stuff down and just make everything wet. Once you've got it loose, gone, and then you've made it all wet, you're perfectly ready to bond new concrete, all right? It won't be a problem. The texture of that concrete, when it's broken like this with a sledgehammer, or even with a saw, it's on a microscopic level. It looks like, I don't know, like a cratered moon. And so the new concrete fills in all those little craters, and it's kind of like self-adhering in that regard. It's hard enough to smash it, break it, and then lift it loose because it breaks like a cratered moon, right? So you trust me, it's not going anywhere. All right. Jay's running pipe under concrete seems so permanent and hard to change, fix. Do any other solutions exist? Yeah, you know, there are options. They are more temporary, but there are options. There are products out there like SaniFlow, and they make sanitary waste pumps. And so you can actually run your plumbing from a shower and a toilet and have a pump right behind the toilet and run your sink and your shower into that pump. And of course, those pipes all run on the surface. They make them white and pretty, but they run on the surface, right? And so you do have an option. You don't have to open your concrete. You can add a bathroom anywhere with the SaniFlow system. And that's just the company that I'm familiar with. There's a couple of other options on the market. So feel free to check all that out. The technology exists. It's really good. I once did an entire bathroom for my whole home in my farmhouse with a dual macerator pump system so that one works, and when it fails, an alarm goes off and the other continues to work. A lot of the smaller unit sizes, there's only a single pump, and so you do have that added inconvenience. If the pump goes down, you got to stop using that bathroom until you get it replaced or fixed. But there are options, Jay. Very good question. Daniel again, what's your thought about adding a vapor barrier under the concrete floor? Is that standard? Yeah, it is standard in new construction. But when you're renovating, there's no sense adding plastic underneath the floor that you open up, because all you're doing is changing the way that that piece of flooring reacts to the conditions, and the rest of the house stays the same. So if you're installing a system, which is what a vapor barrier is, it's not a complete system, it's a waste of time system. Save your time and money. Don't bother putting a vapor barrier in 12 square feet on a 1,400 square foot basement. That's like just irrelevant, right? That's like taking bug spray and putting a dot behind one ear. You're getting eaten alive. It's not going to work, right? You spray your whole self, or you're not going to be able to make it through the forest. Same with vapor barriers. Same with insulation. Don't insulate 2 or 3 walls of your house and not the 4th. You're going to find it's just going to be freezing cold, right?
A lot of people were asking about the subfloor product you might be using for your dry core or something else.
Yeah. No, that's great. As far as our plan for reconstruction, at this point, we are dealing with a raised ranch, which means only 4 feet below grade. It's on a hill, and it seems might have been put on sand, which is crazy with drainage. The reality is this basement is insanely dry. We ripped out all the subfloor. You can see in the video, the block wall is dry, the floors are dry, there's no effervescence. There's nothing really here to make us think that there's anything wrong with the system here for water drainage. All of the downspouts on this building run 4 feet away from the house on a slope. It's just, there's nothing wrong with this place. So I don't really need to go overboard on technology. But what I do need to do is install a thermal break, because it is a basement and it is still Canada. So I'm more interested, I think, at this point, looking at going with a dry core product called Insularmor. I haven't made up my mind yet. I mean, there's still the potential for other kinds of water events. So as a team, once we get our structural engineer in here and we figure out our total plan, we'll sit down and we'll think about the products and we'll design the bathroom, so the basement system for this house. There's no such thing as one system that works everywhere. This is why membership is so valuable, guys. If you've got a house, you got questions. There are at least 9 or 10 different ways that I can build a basement, depending on the conditions in that basement and the geography that we're working with. So consider hitting the join button and being part of our membership. You can come on Discord, send me pictures, and we can help diagnose your situations and select the right product and assembly for your house where you live. All right. Were you good? You got any other questions you want me to jump into? All right. Oh, Kiana. Cheers, Kiana. You got a 30-inch tub, but I want to do the tile-ready 32-inch shower linear drain. You're on a slab. What would be the easiest process to get that 2 inches? Or should I just go with a 30? Yeah. You know, if your drain is already lining up with a prefab product like that, then you're in great shape. You probably, when you take your tub off, you're going to have a hole around in that slab that gives you a little bit of maneuverability for your plumbing. All right. So you really want to pull out your tub first, find out what your options are for the different plumbing locations, and can take a look at the specs on the 30 and the 32. Okay. Because depending on which way they run the P-trap underneath that slab, it might be able to move into position, or it might be moving out of position if you try to put a different size in. So find out what works the easiest for you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel with your plumbing and open up more slab and put in a different pipe with a different P-trap length. You can really have a job creep. So open it first, then find out where that center hole is and if it lines up with either of those two options, and then make your decision from there. Because you might find you have to open the concrete and move the plumbing regardless. If you got room for 32 and you want a bigger shower, it's the same amount of work. I'd go 32. But if it lines up with the 30 and you don't have to increase the scope of work, maybe that's a better option. All right. And then one more here. Question about newer construction home. Laminate flooring installed sounds almost like breaking glass when you walk on it. Is this because of poor installation? No, it's because the building code doesn't require installation on laminate flooring to have sound absorbent deadening properties as the underlayment. That's all it is. There's no building code for doing good work. It's a floating floor, and they can just put it on a piece of cheap plastic and walk away. All right? So that's what that is. If you're going to change out your floor, spend money on the underlayment before you spend money on the flooring if it's a floating floor. That is where the quality is found. It's actually the underlayment that gives you the quality of that when you're walking on it. It's the sound, it's the absorption, it's the lack of vibration, all those things. A good underlayment is worth more than quality, expensive flooring. All right. You'll find that you can get flooring for $3 a square feet and an underlayment for $2 a square feet that'll outperform a $10 a square foot flooring. Just saying. Okay, let's get back to work. Matt's got all the concrete out of here. The timing is insatiable. All right. Oh, I feel like we might even get this hole dug, buddy. I think before I go dig any more of this sand out of the way, though, we'll just get the rest of the concrete. What do you say?
Yeah.
So
like that.
we'll bust open around that toilet a little bit so that we can, just have isolate and blah, blah, blah. And then we'll just save that space there for the sand. But let's move the rest of this concrete and grab a sledge, pick a side.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, I'm going to have my back to the camera the whole time here, Joe. I don't know if you wanted to reorg or what. But you're going to work over there? Or do you want to just work the slab together working up?
Did you want to work that together?
I think we can.
Do a bit of a race?
Well, yeah, it's always the son who wants to race the father, right? Never the other way around. You got a bigger sledgehammer. And I need my eye protection. I'm not doing this without my eyeballs on. Hang on one second. If we're going to be working that hard. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. You set yours down as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard to see with these things on. Funny how they call it a safety device when you're working blind. Anyway, we don't have much of an option. When you're doing renovations live, you kind of have to follow some safety protocol, Okay.
I find it easier to stand up, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
You go right ahead.
Okay.
Just don't hit me in the head.
All right.
There goes a light bulb. I'm actually right-handed. Oh, baby. I think it's better to maybe get rid of some of this other one first. Got to have some room for this stuff to shatter. That third rock didn't even want to make a dent, did it? All right. Not happening, is it? Yeah, here we go. Come on, baby. Just can't get underneath it. There we go. Little shake, rattle, and roll. Kind of hard to have a race when we're both working in the same spot. All right. Let's see how that breaks a lot easier now. Holy cow. Oh. Oh. There we go. What I'm amazed is the quick cut actually cut through all of that concrete. I thought for sure they were going to pour a 4-inch slab, which is somewhat normal. I'm ever glad it was only 2.5 because I felt like we were cheating a little bit when we were cutting through. But it must have just found that sweet spot.
Now, there's a certain level of resistance you can feel when you're cutting the concrete.
Right?
You kind of, it feels like you're on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
You're getting just
The
on
blade kind of
bottom.
rolls over and wants to eat something new. Eh?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of gravel down here at all. But I'll take sand over clay any day of the week. You're going to come in for a swing, are you? Go ahead. Okay. That ought to be enough to get this one out. Get some headway here. Move this project along, and then we can have a look at the structure underneath that wall. Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir. Oh. Okay.
Last one.
Yeah. Come on, baby. Get up the goes. Oh, yeah. That is therapeutic, to say the least. Because it breaks on a slope, eh? Can't just lift it straight out. Okay. Hey, where'd your glasses go?
Oh, they must have fallen off. How do I?
In the midst of your swing, so behind you. Rather not have you digging around in the rock without them.
Really?
Yeah, well, you know. I don't have to answer your mother if something bad happens.
Are you the safety officer?
He is the safety officer.
Yeah. I've failed my job already.
Oh, there is nobody in this world that works in the construction who doesn't work, turn around the corner one day and just go, where the hell are my safety glasses?
Paul thinks to himself, where are my safety glasses? I'm going to rock my hand. It's all good.
Oh. Oh, yeah. There we go. You know, I just wanted to mention while we're at it, it's a good excuse for me to not work so hard. Hey, Joe. What did I mention here? Here, check these out. For everybody who was working for a living, look at the back of this. This is an elastic webbing. It is incredibly comfortable. It's the first time in my life I've owned knee pads that didn't cause fatigue. All right, now listen, I didn't buy shares in the company yet, but I'm thinking about it. Stevens knee pads. It comes with another zipper, so if you got big fat legs like me, makes it even wider, okay? Or you can get one size fits all. All you do is put the pad there, reach around the backside. The fact that you can even put these on while wearing gloves blows your mind. You just put that little zipper in there, lift, and zip, and you're good for hours and hours and hours. I spent most of my career not wearing knee pads because they slow you down, they get you tired, they cut off your circulation. But here I am working on my hands and knees for the first time in years, loving these things. You can always get them from our link. It should show up on the screen for you. Order them through your local Walmart. I'm glad he got himself a distribution deal. I met him in a trade show a couple years back, and I got these. He gave them to me to try, and I'm just a big fan. So, like, cheers to that. Whenever I bump into something I love, I'm going to tell you guys about it. Okay, that's how this channel works. Head and ask him for a dime. It's just a damn good product, and you deserve to have good, happy knees too. So there you go. Consider checking that out. No.
I guess you didn't like me enough to give me a pair, right?
Well, I was down in Florida at the time. You know, you can go to Walmart and get your own knee pads anytime you want. All right, here we go. We're getting close. I'm smelling victory. In a few minutes, we're going to be able to see the footing. Oh. I just keep throwing my hand in there, not knowing what you're doing. I'm a little bit trusting there, right? Okay. Typical. Now, a lot of these little bits of concrete, Matt, we're going to just consider that clear stone. Okay. And we'll probably just put that in another pile. Yep. Okay. Use as cheap filler when we're done. Instead of putting it all in a garbage can and taking it all outside of the bin, if we can just kind of save all this stone, push it to the middle for now, grab a couple of shovels, and then we can dig out, or you can do that. Well, you're a beast.
What?
I'm just trying to separate the stone from the gravel or the sand or whatever earth we got down here. It's important to take your time to isolate your building materials. We got garbage, we got crushed stone we're going to be able to use again, and then we're going to have a lot of dirt we got to take out of here. So let's get all the stone back to here, okay? And then we can take this dirt out, and we'll just shovel it and throw it right through that space.
Okay. How deep did you want to go?
We probably want to go 6 or 7 inches here.
Okay.
Deeper than this, okay?
5 feet?
By the length of the trough, 1 shovel wide.
Okay.
Okay, so we can get a visual. And we'll clean out from underneath until you find those footings.
Okay.
If you don't find a footing, don't clear out the stuff underneath the wood.
Okay.
It's holding up the house.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for the exercise there, Matty. Boy. Pardon? To do what?
Just so they're not shining right in Joe's camera and creating like flashes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, is that all right?
Yeah, not bad. That one is kind of annoying.
We can kill it if you want.
I don't know.
All right.
We'll see.
No worries.
Want to do some questions?
Yeah, well, we're an hour in.
Okay.
There's only so much shoveling we can do, so I'm going to let the young lad do that. And there we go. See? That's just an organized job site right there. That's awesome. Oh, here's a real question. Do you think robots will replace your construction job? By the time that happens, we're done for anyway. Yeah, that'll be the last job on this planet is renovating houses that we're going to need people for. You got a career forever. I put it this way. If you use your brain for a living, you're probably at risk of getting replaced. So, yeah.
Are we saving the dirt or are we piling somewhere?
And let's put the dirt right here on this side of the wall.
Sorry, did you say that already?
Yeah, but that's all right. And when you're working hard and it's hot, is that clay you're dealing with?
/ rock, I think.
Okay, so then over the other end, It's sand because they'd already excavated.
Yeah.
But here we're dealing with clay. Great. Okay. Lovely. All right. Let's get back to the booth. We'll answer some questions. That's right. But the job comes first, right? Jesse wants to know what part of Florida I'm in. I'm not in Florida anymore, Jesse. We're back in Ottawa. We're in Canada. And we're in a real cold 4-season climate. Oh, it's only, what is it, about 70, 75 degrees? 75 degrees today in American scale. To give you an idea. And that's summer. It's kind of perfect, actually. I think we have snowbirds from Canada going to Florida. I think in summer, Florida should all show up here. It's the perfect place to be. Jeff, any thoughts on pre-finished wall paneling like truss core? Seems like a great product for unfinished spaces. Yeah, you know, if you just want to put it on a wall, sure. The products are expensive, relatively speaking, as an option. But there's a time and a place for it, right? Like if you want to have a garage that you want to be able to use a pressure washer in, then yeah, I can see the benefit. There's other products. I mean, Dry Core even makes a Dry Core panel for the wall. And it's like quick connect for the plugs and all that kind of jazz. And I've never really looked at it because I know at the end of the day, I can build it with basic building materials and save a fortune on material because I know how to do taping and mudding and painting. And if you don't, watch my videos and you will too. Save your money. Right? A couple bucks a square feet is all you need for building materials. And you can save yourself tens of thousands of dollars doing your own basement. All right. Oh, Sandy says it's 90 where she is. That's actually not bad as long as it's not humid. But Sandy, you're what? You're South Carolina, I believe. Am I right? So that's pretty comfortable. Hey, I was right. 24, I guess good. All right. The chat's all about the temperature. Let's talk about the weather while we're here, shall we? Oh, 90 and humid. Yeah, it's the humidity that gets you. We had 90 and humid yesterday in the last few days. No fun. That's why we've been in the basement. We're actually conveniently timed to do the series in the basement with the air conditioning running while we're having a heat wave. Anyway, the benefit of gutting a whole house is you get to pick the space based on the weather. All right, Andrew, here to clarify my question from the other day. Okay, you got a modular home, not a mobile. And I want to drywall the ceilings, 2x3, 12 centers. Yeah, no problem. Go right ahead. 2x3 will hold up a sheet of drywall, no problem. A whole sheet 4x8 is about 40 pounds. So you don't have any issue, all right? You go right ahead and rock it. 89 and sunny in DC. Wow. Hey, Creative Life's back in the chat. Good to see you again. And Gerald wants to know, are you going to wet vent everything you're installing in that basement through the lab, or you separate vents for the condensate floor drain? Yeah, I'm going to probably going to run a wet vent to the condensate floor drain and then bring it up and then take a 1.5-inch vent up into the ceiling to tie in across the room. But again, this is why we're making that video on Wednesday with the plumber, because what Jeff would do and what the plumber would do might be a little bit different because A, he's up to speed in all the modern building code. And so I've been out of Canada for a couple of years working in Florida and Alaska. And so I'm looking forward to finding out how much has changed. I'll tell you one thing that's changed since the old days. Here, I'll show you. I grabbed this. Here's a little something that'll rock your boat. And when it comes to drains, guys, Matt's over there laughing. What, rock your boat? Yeah, sorry. When it comes to drains, we used to do this, right? This is a 2-inch pipe. No big deal. Water comes down, goes into 90, comes across. That's the drain. They changed the code. Now you need to use a sweeping 90. Ooh. Actually, they changed the code one year and they said you got to use 2 45s instead of 190 to make a 90-degree turn. And that didn't make any sense until we put them together and realized it creates this sweeping angle effect. You see the difference? Isn't that ridiculous? All right? They start at the same location and it goes sweeping 90. It's something to do with not creating as much turbulence. Because when water goes down a drain, it doesn't go flowing like a water slide. It actually goes in a circle, okay? So that's the neat thing about when you flush a toilet, that same effect is actually in every drain. And so because it's going like this, having a long sweeping 90 really helps to not interrupt it. Where this, it comes in, bam, hits that, gets turbulence, starts to back up. You don't get the airflow, so the wet venting doesn't work as well. That's why we're doing this now, so wet venting is effective. Anyway, just one of the changes that have happened over the last few years. And what's funny about building code, you can change something and then 10 years later, so half the people still don't even know that it changed. Nobody's on a mailing list. So figure that one out. Somebody needs to organize that stuff. We should all be able to opt in for updates on building code somewhere. Just give me a website. Let me put in my email. I would love that. My goodness. Jeff, I got an exterior structure beam on my carport that has rot in it. How would I replace it? It holds up the carport. Okay, well, what you do is you put in a temporary beam that carries the load while you're replacing it. Okay? Really, it's as simple as measuring floor to ceiling, the existing gap, and then cut it about 1/8 of an inch longer than it needs to be. And then you wedge it in and you hammer in the bottom until you get it nice and flat. And then you can cut out the old beam while that's there. Gravity is your friend, right? The roof will still sit on that. So you find your load carrying cross member and you just put it within 2 feet of where your post is. And in most cases, that'll be fine. If you've got questions about that, you can always get an engineer, or you can join us on our Discord as a member. Hit the join button, and $5 a month, you can send me pictures and I can help deal with your issues. Okay, I'm more than happy to jump in and help people out. Dave, awesome, you must be. I'm finishing off my garage with insulation and drywall. It's not vented under the roof it's not vented under the roof on the overhang. Is it okay to put in 3 or 4 inch vents? Or should I use those rectangle ones? The garage, insulation, drywall, it's not vented. Okay. I'm getting what you're saying now. Well, here's the deal. If you're going to insulate your space, you're creating the potential. Are you going to be conditioning the space underneath, or are you just insulating against heat so that you can keep the heat out? And that's what a lot of us do. I'm going to be doing the same thing. The only thing you need on that roof is fresh air venting. Okay. Now, if you don't have soffit air venting bringing in fresh air, then you're going to have to put in some ridge vents or gable venting. Okay, those are the other options. You can bring some air in there and then put a mechanical vent to pull the air. Somewhere, you got to move the air. The only time you don't have to worry about moving air in your attic space is if you have a metal roof. Okay, but all kinds of asphalt shingles, they'll overheat if you don't bring fresh air and get that extra heat out of the way. It's just a necessity because it's not about doing something that's good for the house. You're doing something good for the longevity of your shingle, right? So they'll sell you a 20-year shingle, but in the wrong conditions, it'll overheat underneath the shingle and it'll decay really quick, and you're replacing your roof every 10 years. So lots of fresh air is a place that's worth spending money on to try to push your roof span closer to that 20-year lifespan. All right, and that's what it's all about. Joe just wants to say how grateful he is for the videos. You refinished a wall in your house that your landlord got builders in for and they messed it up. So thought you give it a go, and it's fantastic. Give it a go. I love it. Why not? Oh, there you go. Loving this. Random razor. That's cool. Jeff, what are your thoughts on radon in homes? Do you believe it is a serious issue? I don't know, but it's such an easy fix, right? Like you blow a hole in the floor and you stick a white pipe in it and you run the pipe outside. And you give the radon somewhere to go. That's all. There's such a simple fix. It's not even worth the time and energy to research it for me to decide if it's a problem or not. Okay? Someone says, hey, you might have radon. I'm like, fine, shove a pipe in the floor. Problem solved. I'm not even going to lose any sleep. All right? It's just like, you got ants. Not anymore. It's over. You know what I mean? Like, hey, problem solved. All right. Susan, we want to put in some wood paneling in your bathroom. Any advice on what is best to use, tips for installation? We won't want to cause moisture problems. Well, Susan, it's tricky, right? Because you see people on YouTube or Instagram or God only knows where, and they're all doing these really funky designs in the bathroom, and they're forgetting that they're putting that stuff in a tropical rainforest climate. Okay? That's what a bathroom is. It spends half of its lifetime soaking wet in humid air. Now, if you have a good extraction fan, and by good, I mean that you can exchange all of that humid air in less than 5 minutes, then you can go and use whatever you like, okay? The wood's not going to soak up moisture if the fan's working properly. But you don't want your fan attached to the light switch. You want your fan on constant power, and you want to have a fan with its own humidistat So it knows when to turn off based on how humid the air is. Those are the only environments where I would suggest putting any kind of wood structure in a bathroom. You've got to have control of your humidity, period. Because wood expands and contracts, and if it does too much expansion, you're going to get cracks and you're going to get ugly messes showing up. And if you have a really busy bathroom and a lot of people in there taking constant showers, you'll never get the humidity back to normal, and then mold will start to grow because mold is already alive in the wood, right? So you got to keep your relative humidity below 65 points on bathroom wood. If it's below 65, you're fine. But you got to do that with humidistat fan extraction before you even consider putting wood in. That's a lot of explanation, but it's okay. Be safe. All right. Is there a minimum or maximum distance when it comes to the toilet drain from the wall? Yeah, that's a really good question. No, there's no maximum distance for a toilet drain, but if you are, I think my math is correct, if you're more than 3 feet from fresh air venting, you've got to add fresh air venting. Okay, so you can have your pipe going lateral, and then just before your toilet, you'll have a TY coming up a little bit, and you can add a 1.5 inch venting and tie it in the roof somewhere. As long as you've got fresh air chasing all of that water and waste, you're fine. As soon as you don't have fresh air chasing it, you create vacuum, and with vacuum, you get the solids extrapolating away from the water, and they move at different rates, and then the water runs away, and the solids are left in the pipe, and then the next guy comes along and uses a bit too much toilet paper, and then next thing you know, all hell breaks loose and you're mopping your floor. So always have fresh air, and your toilet should work fine. And also be careful if you're going to put in a new pipe, you don't go too aggressive on your slope. 1 degree, okay? And the water, just a little bit of water in the bottom of that pipe will carry all of the other stuff along with it. All right, Michael, he's a member. I love the Ragnar Lothbrook look. That's pretty cool. Is there a way to make vinyl windows to open smoothly without removing them, or is this a sign to replace? You know, it might not be a sign to replace your vinyl windows if they don't operate properly. It could just be some expansion and contraction in your house. You can actually go through different seasons and humidity and temperature, and basically what happens is if you install your windows in the wintertime, then the summer hits and it's all humid and now everything's swollen and there's maybe too much pressure on that window, or maybe they used too much foam when they installed it and it caused the window to bow. And then when the summer comes now, it's really getting under pressure. So the best thing to do if you're having issues with your windows seasonally is open up your casing, remove all your foam, okay? And then kind of like reinstall it from that point. And then just don't overdo it on the foam, all right? It's really not that necessary. The window only has an R rating of 5. You don't need R30 foam, okay? Just a little bead, seal it up. If it's 1 inch of foam, you've got more than R5. It's the same as the window. There's not going to be a draft, and you don't run the risk of putting too much pressure on the frame, and that causes the operation to fail. So you're probably going to be just okay. Remove some foam, and then you can realign and back off some screws and do some torquing. Get a nice square out there. Make sure everything is square. And if it operates properly with the foam missing, then you know you're okay. All right. Okay, dokie. All right, that was a good answer to a good question. Do you need an exterior wall to do an in-wall toilet? No, it's actually up here. We can't do them on an exterior wall, right? We want to do it interior walls only, but you need probably a 2x6 framing. That's all. You got to build a mechanical wall for something like that. Now, I don't know if they make a toilet that hangs on the wall for a 2x4 wall. I doubt it. If they do, yay, I'm wrong. That's fine. I'm not a big fan. At the end of the day, I like to sit on something that's sitting on something that's structural, and I don't have to worry about my toilet falling off the wall. And maybe I'm wrong, but give me 5 or 10 years and we'll see how many of these things start falling off the wall and if I was right. I'm not switching until a product like that has been on the market for 20 years, right? The same with on-demand hot water heating. It came out probably 20 years ago from what I can guess. 20 years later, I still think it's a bad idea and I still don't recommend it. It was all the craze, but we've had so many problems and callbacks and countless visits out to houses trying to solve problems with those products. It's just not worth it, my time to recommend a product that's going to make me do warranty calls at 7 o'clock at night once a month. Forget about it. And to everybody who's making them, I'm sorry if I'm destroying on your industry, but Jeepers creepers, guys. What's the point? All right. Okay, I think I'm going to get back to work. I got Matt working all by himself over there, and he's done so much. That's just so unfair. All right. All right. How's it looking over here, buddy?
So I hit a couple of rocks there in that trench.
Good. That might be intentional.
And that's what I'm thinking.
I'm just going to dig around with the little scratch tool there. Where do we got that bad boy? That little shovel?
It's up on the, I'll put it somewhere.
It's up here. I got it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. This is the point where we're going to start doing some excavation, kind of like an archaeologist here or paleontologist. Yeah. We're going to find any bones. Maybe the guy that built the house is buried underneath it. I don't know. Okay. That's not looking very promising, is it? Wow. Wow, that's not looking very promising at all.
You don't see it footing?
I don't see nothing. I'm hoping that maybe there's something more towards the corner of this because it's picking up the header as well. I'm going to bust open a little more concrete here. All right. This is the point. You know, my, maybe we can go a little more, nah. Guys, if you want to know the other part of the house, we did a live show. What was it, Wednesday?
Yep.
We tore that apart? The last live show we did. You can always go to the channel and check it out. Just when you go to the channel, the homepage, just go hit the live, and it categorizes all of our shows, okay? Check out the one from Wednesday. We tore down a load-bearing wall, put up a temporary one, of course. And under the load-bearing wall, the original, there was footings. And it was obviously footings. But here, this is a load-bearing wall. There's nothing here. That's a long stretch. This I got a point load here. You can tell because up here, there's this header made out of 2x4s and double plate. And it picks up the fact that all of these joists are meeting in the middle. And I got another point load here of all of that meeting right here. So let's go and see. Hey! Sometimes you just got to know. Yes, you just got to know. There's no sense having your structural engineer come on site if you can't identify if there's a load footing or not. You got to just know what you got to know. You know what? The claw on the hammer actually works really good. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. If you can get the dirt out from underneath of it, it breaks off pretty easy. Nope, that's not a footing, just a rock. Yeah, there's nothing there, Matt. And here's how I know. Okay? When we're doing a footing, we're going to build a 2-foot by 2-foot box. So let's say in my design, I know that this is going to be carrying load. I build a 2 by 2 foot footing, put that wall in the middle. That makes sure that even if my measurements aren't perfect, I'm going to be within 12 inches in every direction. You can't mess up your measurements that bad, or you'd be too incompetent to be in the business. You could be out a couple of inches, but that's why you make footings big. It's just rebar and concrete. Make them about 10 inches thick. I should be able to see that from underneath the corner, which means this wall here is built entirely on concrete, on rock, no footing. And Like I said, this is 1974, before building code. But now I've got an engineer on the project. So he's going to come in here and he's going to be like, well, that's not good. So I'm not sure what he's going to want from me. He might come along and say, you know what, let's just backfill with, we'll clean out as much dirt as we can and we'll backfill with solid concrete here. All right. And he might say, put in a temporary wall on each side, tear this thing out, open up the floor, pour me a footing, get some rebar in there, and then get it inspected by the inspector. So I don't know which way he's going to go, but bottom line, that door has to move. This wall doesn't have to move. So this is going to be grandfathered in, we call it. It's been fine for 50 years. I don't expect it to be a problem. I'm going to have nothing but hardwood above it, so that's going to be fine too. But over here, I got to move this door. My new locations, remember this is going to be a wall, and this is going to be washer dryer, so I want to have the door over here. So in order to do that, I got to keep this point load, and I got to make this one a point load. That point load can be grandfathered in, and I can just fill the rest of that in. But this one, I might have to open this up, cut a hole, put in a footing. It seems silly, but if you're going to change structure somewhere, you kind of got to update to modern code in most cases. Anyway, we will keep you updated as to what's going on in the process. Next week, we're going to figure all that out for sure. Man, oh man, oh man, that's kind of unsettling. Huh. All right. You know what? Here, Joe, I want you to come on over here. Take a look at this with me. I know it's not the greatest lighting, but you know what? I'm just going to give you a quick little heads up. You can see this piece of concrete right here, right? We're good. And then my 2x4 that was here was embedded in that concrete. That's a footing. That's a space. That's a footing. This is actually steel. I mean, it's a constant reoccurring theme of footing, footing, footing. Here's another edge. Here's another footing. So this wall was carrying load. And then we built this just inside of it to pick up all of these joists that are meeting on this line. But that is not the way they built over there. And over here, I can see that this wall, this is the piece of 1x4. That's a footing. There's a footing here, but nothing on that wall. And then maybe it's just because it's only carrying the live load of the floor in that wall, nothing about the roof, no snow load. This is why you need an engineer, because some things don't make any sense. Now, I had an engineer once tell me, hey, if it lasted for 100 years, it'll last another 100. Just don't touch it. Well, here I am touching it. And so now we've broken the rule. Now I'm potentially compromising the structure just by digging a hole next to it. Because the way that point load work structure, the load is carried on a 45-degree angle. So directly beneath this wall now, here, we'll go back into that other hole there. Directly underneath here, this load goes into the concrete, right? And from that point, it's 45 degree. I should have this dirt backfilled right up to right up to here. It should be packed right in here, and it's still carrying load. So actually, by digging this out, I've compromised the integrity of the wall. Not to the point where I'm nervous, because it still carries on the 45 the other way. And like I said, it's still only carrying the live load of those floor joists and subfloor up there. There's nothing else in this house. This is why this is a great time to solve all your structural issues right out of the gate when you're on a new build. Because you can change your design plan, you can move walls around, you can add doors, and all that looks great on paper. But when it comes right down to it, what's underneath your floor is more important than where your walls are going to go and what color you're going to paint them. All right, this is Renovation 101. If you're going to touch it, you're going to have to bring it up to modern day standards. I'm fine with that. Just curious to see what he's going to have to say. All right. Well, let's just do that. We'll just finish off this show in the comment section. It's a little short one today, but hey, we're not going to hang out for an hour watching us turn our back to you digging a hole in the ground. So if you got some questions about what we just talked about, jump in. If it's relevant, great. If you got a general question about your house, hit me up. We'll give this a few minutes. Dave, awesome. You going to put up a temp load sharing wall then? Not today. Today I'm fine. Nobody lives in this house. It's just a couple of 2x10s and some subfloor. One of the benefits of doing a major project like this is you don't have the live load of everything in the house, right? So there's no kids and dogs running around. There's no appliances upstairs. There's no piano. It's going to be just fine. If I have to hit it with a sledgehammer to break it, then it's going to be able to carry 50 to 100 pounds. That's really all it's carrying. So not a big deal. When we go to make alterations, though, definitely going to have to pick up a load sharing wall on each side because the joists all come to the middle and they only overlap about a foot. So we'll have to make 2 walls to tear one out to then repair. Interesting. Okay. Michael wants to know, is there a way to make vinyl windows to open smoothly without removing them? Oh, we already handled that question there, my man. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah, and if you just joined us and you didn't get the answer, just back it up. It's about 5 minutes ago. Handyman Serene, your member, cheers to you. Thanks for joining the show today. You got a 75 house in Montreal, poured concrete basement, river rock siding. Nice. Some part of rotten wood and the rim joist, yeah. Water seeped through the veneer siding, yeah. How to replace the rotten part of a rim joist. Okay. This is it. It's a lot like underpinning technology, if you've ever seen that. When you have a rotten rim joist, what you need to know, the secret here, is that every section of rim between your joists, okay, it's a solid piece of lumber, but you only need 1.5 inches of lumber every 16 inches to carry the load from the wall above. So, in theory, all you have to do is cut out small sections and replace them one at a time, all right? That's it. And then from the inside, you can go air seal with a little Part A, Part B foam gun kit that you can buy at like Lowe's or Rona. You'll have a Rona up in Montreal. I'm sure they'll sell it. You can air seal all of those pieces of lumber that you put in. And if you're going to be doing that, go with pressure treated and seal the ends of all your pressure treated pieces as you stick them in, because that old house of yours has got a little moisture getting in the wall. It'll make it so that it's not going to deteriorate and invite the critters to come live in your wood. All right, and that's how we do it. One piece at a time. If you're concerned at all about the strength of the house and while you're working, you can go downstairs and you can wedge a 2x4 underneath the joist of the section you're working at, and you can tackle that pretty quick. All right, just got a reciprocator, drill one hole, reciprocate up, reciprocate down, pop it off the couple of nails that you got. You're good to go. Get yourself a cat's paw. Here's the tool that you're going to need. Here it is. All of the nails into the joist are from the outside. So you grab yourself one of these bad boys, okay? And you can actually put that on a nail, okay? Like that. Hammer the end and dig the head of the nail out and then rip it out. You take your 4 or 5 nails out or whatever, and then you cut, boom, pop it out, nail a new piece in, and just do that over and over and over again. You'll have a brand new rim joist in no time. All righty. Alessandro Chan's in the house. Cheers, buddy. That's another member. It's good to see you there. Any thoughts on using a flexible rubber floor leveler compared to using a mortar? Concerned about this old house flexing over time and that mortar breaking, like under a tub. Is rubber leveler okay? It's true. The older the house, the more it kind of like expands and contracts like your lungs, right? They just really get some movement going on. Yeah, I would say that you're fine with that. Another solution is to use a flexible thin set in your tile installation, okay? And use a Schluter Dietra before you tile for your bathroom. That also is an uncoupling membrane, and it is incredibly resilient with movement in the house. All right, cheers, Arnie. Hopefully that helps. There we are. Hey, Jeff, I might have missed your answer, but I was curious if laundry is required to be separated from the toilet by code. Separated from the toilet. Okay, so laundry and the toilet are eventually going to find the same pipe, but they should be joined up at the 4-inch point when it's under the slab. Okay, you don't want to have your laundry running into the 3-inch pipe from your toilet. That's for sure. That's my best opinion. So if you're looking to do some creative plumbing, yeah, I would avoid creativity. All right, cheers. Wow. Oh, I think you're fine if you want to tie it in as long as it's the vertical 3-inch pipe, if that helps, if you're putting laundry on a main floor. Noel Jenkins, I have a house built 1906 with an added basement in 63. They added a basement in 63. That's incredible. That must have been a really nice part of town. What is the best waterproofer technique or poly seal to use to stop water and mold? Well, if they built the basement in '63, that means they didn't use any plastic underneath your slab. And so the best thing you can do is not try to seal up your house. Okay? You're going to be fighting with moisture. Depending on where you live, the soil conditions, how high you are on a hill, the kind of weather that you get, there's a lot of different answers to that question, Noel. But what I like to do is design spaces in a basement that are separate my airspace where I'm living from the airspace behind the walls. So water can come in underneath my floor and we can divert that to the walls. It'll divert the water, relative humidity, into the wall concrete masonry products itself, and then eventually find its way outside. And we just keep it isolated from entering into our living space that we have conditioned airspace. And as long as you can isolate those two things, you don't have to worry about what technology to make it all harmonious. That's the trouble. If you're trying to stop water, you lose. You want to manage it, not try to dam it up. It's a lot easier to tell water where to go than it is to tell it to stop moving. The energy it takes to keep water from going somewhere is 100 times more than letting it have access to something dry and then separating yourself from it. All right. How would you repair a crack in a concrete floor? You know, Steve, that all depends. If you are going to be covering up the floor and you don't have a high water table, I say to ignore it. And that offends the minds of a lot of people. The fact is, it's not a structural component, right? It's cosmetic. Now, if you are slab on grade and you got a crack, you want to fix that. That's a structural component. But for the rest of us who have basements and we get cracks all the time, they pour the concrete, they set it up, it shrinks, it dries, there's weak spots, whatever. You got a crack, so what, right? You're going to be putting flooring over top of it. It's irrelevant. And if you really, really, really want to fill it up, there's you can buy it in a caulking tube in the Home Depot caulking aisle, and it is a self-leveling concrete patch caulking, and it kind of runs out like gray ooze. And you can just fill up your gaps, and then you can feel better that you don't have a crack in your concrete. But at the end of the day, unless you've got major radon issues in your house and you're trying to isolate that radon so it only has access through the pipe, the cracks are irrelevant. All right? All right. I think I'm good there, dude. Is somebody... Is it just me? No? All right.
Can we do this question and one more?
One more question. We ordered something?
Yeah, we got lunch.
We got lunch coming?
Just arrived.
There we go. We just dropped it off. Okay, one more question, guys, and we're going to call it a day. And listen, there's no live shows next week, but we're going to pick up this project again the week after. I think the week after that, we're actually tearing the chimney off of the house. And we're going to do roof repairs and all that kind of great stuff. And looking forward to having you join us then. It'll be, I think, not the Saturday coming up, but the Saturday after. We got a date on that. Is it July 6th or something?
It's going to be weather dependent.
Yeah, and it's weather dependent. We might move it to Thursday, depending. It's been a pretty rainy year around here. All right, Edmonton in the house. Should I insulate the rim joist and seal it above the electrical panel without any problems? Regards. You know what? I love insulating a rim joist. I love insulating it so much. I like to make it R30 because it is the weakest part of the home. All right, I like to spray seal it and then throw bat in there. That's just the way I am. It is the number one reason why floors are cold upstairs and people are freezing downstairs. Okay, that's just the bottom line. And around the electrical panel, here's the thing. If you have your electrical panel, find yourself a mechanical room. Electrical panels usually are in the mechanical room. And put a wall with a door off. And then stop worrying about being efficient in your electrical room. Because all that mechanical, you got your hot water tank, you got your furnace in there, and if it's cold outside, that room was warmer than any other room in the house anyway. So trying to be efficient with heat loss in that particular room, not as big a deal, all right? Because if they didn't insulate well behind the plywood that panel's attached to, trying to air seal and be picky around the little 1% issues when you got a 40% heat loss issue behind your panel, don't waste your energy. Get it? Literally, don't waste your energy. Anyway, oh, right. That was fun.
Last question.
I'm going to grab last question for Sabrina because she's a member and she's special. That's how it works. Want to paint, seal concrete floor in basement laundry room. Rusted bell trap in previously unpainted floor. Okay. Etch the concrete. And which kills to use on the floor? Concrete, walls, and drywall. That's a lot of questions. Okay. Yeah, it's an unpainted floor. They definitely want to etch the concrete. I would actually even use a sealer first, okay? And then as far as the floor is concerned, they make some really good concrete paints out there. Okay, so go to your local paint store, and if you Google, you can actually get a commercial. They have residential and commercial paint stores, like a Sherwin-Williams. They'll have one in the city will be a commercial store, and they'll have products there they won't have everywhere else. Okay, and call up and ask them, what's the best concrete paint you got? What's your best process for brand new concrete? Because each company has got different products, and I can't tell you which one to buy specifically. Depends on what's in your town. As far as concrete walls and drywall, you don't need to use kills on concrete walls, and you can use kills on your drywall, but basic latex paint is fine. No sense to upping your brand quality to kills just because they're marketing themselves as a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. That's my opinion. Anyway, take it for what it's worth. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. If this was helpful, make sure you hit the thumbs up on that video. And if you've got questions and you're watching this after the fact, by all means, put them in the comment section. I will jump in and try to get to as many of those as possible. And if you really need help with your renovation, remember, consider joining our membership. We will see you in the next live show. Cheers.